Hey people, how's it going? Welcome to another video. Welcome to an album review. An album review of a bit of a left field album for my usual take. So, I don't know if it's a secret, I can't remember, but I am currently in the middle of listening to Eminem's entire discography. I'm nearly finished, and so that's going to be my next video for Albums Ranked, episode 40. And of course, with the big news and the big release of Eminem's brand new album, The Death of Slim Shady, I was like, do you know what? Let's just chuck a review up. I haven't done an album review in a very long time because I just tend to do other stuff. And but I thought, do you know what? This will be fun to get a heavy metal fan's take on hip hop. You know what I mean? Like, it's quite funny how many metalheads, hardcore metalheads, you know, not religiously, but actively and honestly listen to Eminem. You know, like, we all have our favorites and we all have our eras of which we grew up with and whatnot. Like, mine, for example, is the Eminem Show Encore relapsey era. You know, I wasn't old enough to take in the Slim Shady LP and all that jazz, so like, and then I kind of got off him after recovery. But like, anyway, do you know what I mean? We all have our stories and connections with him, and we all have our favorites. So I was like, do you know what? Before the album ranking comes out, let's get an honest opinion review thing of The Death of Slim Shady, Coup de Grace. Is that how you say it? I looked up what Coup de Grace means, and I was like, damn, that's cool. It's the phrase of what you call between the final shot between the eyes. I was like, that's pretty metal. So I was like, do you know what? His last two albums, Music to Be Murdered By and Kamikaze, they were both dropped without any prior indication that a new album was coming out. And you know, while Music to Be Murdered By as well as Kamikaze are pretty good, I don't hate those albums. Those two aren't bottom ranked on my listing. But so to have Eminem come out and be like, hey, there's an album coming out now, get excited, because we know how he feels about critics and people's opinions of, you know, when he puts his blood and soul into his work only for us fans to sit here and shit on it. Like, it's almost like, who are we to judge what he does? So, you know, this is nothing to be taken seriously. It's just a bit of fun talking about something that I haven't really talked about on the channel before. So let's get into it. But before we do, are you a fan of Eminem's new Coup de Grace? Are you a fan of The Death of Slim Shady? Is it up to par with the likes of the Slim Shady LP and the Eminem Show and all that? Or does it sit in the same pool as, you know, Revival and stuff? So get your comments down below and let me know what we all think about it. But yeah, we'll just give a bit of, you know, backstory, I suppose. Not that we need too much. And then we'll just sort of sum up track by track, I guess, of my take on this album. So yeah, without further ado, before this takes like an hour to do, let's get started. So, like I said at the start, both the previous two albums, Kamikaze and Music, which was from 2018, and then and then Music to Be Murdered By from 2020, they were both dropped without any hint that a new album was coming out. So that in itself was like, holy damn, look, he does nothing and then drops an album like that. That was fun. You know, we all had our feelings about Revival, whether or not you loved it or hated it. You know, he did have a bit of a middle period of career where it kind of dipped, you know, and what made it interesting, I suppose, was then I thought Kamikaze was awesome, you know, and it really could have brought him back into the spotlight. And then there's always all these beefs and all these feuds that come with a new Eminem album. So we don't really need to go into detail, you know, about who he is, where he came from, what he's done. We know the impact he's had on pop culture and hip hop, like, as a whole. So won't go too much into that. What makes this album fun? I did get a kick out of it, I won't lie. I've listened to this album 4 times since it came out, since it dropped for me yesterday. 22 hours ago. I listened to it yesterday and then 3 times this morning, just to really hone in what each song was. And yeah, while I don't put it at the top, obviously, you know, to me anyway, it's far from the bottom. It's like more or less just under midway. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're familiar with Eminem's music and songs, like lyrically and whatnot, you're able to understand all the quirky little references that he throws in all these songs to kind of throw you back to, you know, throwbacks to songs from his earlier career. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I read somewhere that this album was almost like it's being released in the hype of his career, just with references of today's world and whatnot. Because obviously, the Slim Shady alter ego is supposedly, when he, like, look at the Slim Shady LP, for example, there's a lot of offensive stuff on there in terms of, like, murdering and gay hate and whatnot. And then you get the Marshall Mathers LP, which obviously still has a lot of gay hate and murder references, but like there's just something slightly different about it. It's like the way he raps about it is different. The Slim Shady vocal is a lot higher, and Eminem's vocal is at a lower register. I don't know if that might just be he rapped higher when he was younger, so, but that's how he differentiates himself on this album, because he's playing both of them. He's being Eminem himself as well as Slim Shady as its own being, which is kind of fun. Off the top of my head, I could be wrong, but I don't think we've seen that before. Slim Shady and Eminem going head to toe. We've seen it on Guilty Conscience, where he battles with Dre. And fun fact, on this album, you have Guilty Conscience 2, which is actually, in my opinion, one of the better ones off this song, because it's pretty much Eminem and Slim Shady going head to head and, fighting against each other. Slim is being blamed for all the controversy and all the feuds, and Eminem's apologizing for all it, and Slim's just mocking him, being like, "Oh, look, he's weak now," or whatever. And it's like, "Oh, Slim Shady, you said all this." So it's like, "Yeah, well, you're a part of me, so you're just you're an accessory to the murder or whatever." And it's just like, I kind of get it, but it's quite funny, But yeah, aside from Guilty Conscience 2 and the Slim Shady versus Eminem thing, as an album as a whole, like I said before, it's fun to listen to. I get a kick out of it. I'll listen to it again, and I will listen to it for a good little while. Renaissance is a fun little opener. It's only 1.5 minutes before it gets kicked into Habits, which is a really, really fun song. But yeah, Renaissance is just this, like, it's almost like an intro track, but at the same time it's not. And then with the whole Eminem versus Slim thing, and then Habits comes in. It's got a really, really fun chorus. When I heard that for the first time, I was like, okay, that's one to remember. That was really cool. There's nods to all sorts of things outside of, there's nods to everything throughout the whole album. So to remember which one is which is too soon. Ask me again in a year. But I'm pretty sure it's Habits that sounds just like, no, it's not, sorry, I'm lying. Brand New Dance is pretty much the same beat and drive vibe of Just Lose It from Encore, and that was fun. I loved Encore. It's one of my favorite albums. So I was like, this is a cool little vibe. Brand New Dance is a cool song, and I'm pretty sure that one has a skit at the end of it with Eminem and Slim, battling it out, fighting it out, whatever. Like I say, they're all over the place. Evil is a cool song. It's slightly, well, I won't say it's slower, but like it's got more of a calm, I'm so evil, like jazzy, not jazzy, but funky chorus. It's slower, it's not so in your face. Lucifer was fun. I thought that was cool. That one is, I will say it everywhere, there's beautiful lyric flow on this entire album. Like, I can't remember what song it is, but like there's a section where he uses pretty much every word that starts with C in the alphabet and in one paragraph or something like that, and it's just absolutely insane. It's outrageous. Antichrist is fun with that little intro of Marshall, he's the Antichrist, and it reminds me of It's a Hard Knock Life for Us. It's kind of like that. Fuel is not really my favorite, more or less because it's not more like Eminem's presence isn't massive on it, but like it's still cool and the wordplay is still pretty damn awesome. Road Rage is fun. Houdini, which we all know and love, it's already got 230 million plays. That's cool, obviously with the obvious nods to Without Me and everything like that, and battling against himself. Not really battling, but aware of himself. If the old me came through today, what would he say? What's my name? What's my name? Good fun. Breaking News is a bit weird. Like, it's probably what he thinks will happen or what could happen. Do you know what I mean? With this whole woke culture that we're in nowadays, which we will get into at the end of the track listing things and whatnot. But like, it's a news outlet. It's a news reporting saying like, oh, Eminem's dropped his album and people are freaking out, and they're at his restaurant, Mom Spaghetti, and they're all trying to ban and whatnot. It's cute and funny, but yeah, it's a bit, yeah. And then it goes into Guilty Conscience 2, which, like I just said before, was Slim and Eminem battling it out in a rap battle, pretty much, but that's cool. Head Honcho was fun. That's got some cool stuff in it. Temporary is a much more stripped back ballad, powerful message song about Eminem finally being dead and Haley dealing with it, you know, it was like, okay, this is like the beautiful, the mockingbird, the the much more powerful. It's much more personal. We'll just say that. Bad One is quite funny. I quite like that one where it's like, oh, I've she loves all. What is it? I love all my records, but she thinks I have a bad one. Something like that. It's like that's fun. Toby, I thought was a bit. I didn't love Toby, and it's yeah. And then Guess Who's Back, the little skit at the end where they bring back Ken Kniff from the LP Meta days. That was like, oh, okay. Didn't realize he was coming back as well. And then Somebody Save Me with Jelly Roll was pretty fun too. But yeah, like I say, it's fun to listen to. And with the presence of the Slim Shady alter ego being live and apparent, there is a lot of, I don't want to say over the top necessary controversy. Slim Shady, the ego and the style of that rapping was very in your face. It's very offensive. And you could say back in 1999, 1997, whenever it came out, 99 and then 2000 were the first two LPs. Slim Shady and Marshall Mathers. I'm not including Infinite. That no one was rapping about that type of stuff, obviously. Why would you? Why would you rap about hating on gay people and hating on every pop culture icon at that time? Do you know what I mean? So it was very, oh my God, no one was saying it at the time, so therefore he became a very controversial opinion. So I do feel like he's doing that for the sake of being it today. He's just using a lot more things at us with what's going on in the world, like transgenders. There's a lot of hate for transgenderism on this album, but it's like it's there just for the sake of being there, hating on the gays and hating on the trans and mentioning, other things that are touchy today. And it's almost just like, oh, okay, you bring the Slim Shady alter ego back to allow yourself to say these things. And in a way, because we're in such a woke culture of all these other this other way of life. How do you say this? I know what I mean. Does it need to be there? And it's almost like I don't want to say trying to stay relevant, because I feel like if anyone's forever going to stay relevant, it's him, because of, the level of success that he has in the hip hop world and whatnot. But it just felt a bit, I don't want to say forced. Some lyrics in it were funny. I'm not taking it seriously, and maybe it's not meant to be taken seriously, but like, do you know what I mean? Like, I wish I could recite. I'm like the whole Christopher Reeve thing, that comes back into play. He hasn't mentioned Christopher Reeve, I don't think, off the top of my head, since Relapse with Medicine Ball. Remember that? That's a funny song. Slim Shady brings back into the Christopher Reeve thing, and he's like, do people still care about that kind of thing? It's just like, oh, okay, and as I said, there's a lot of references to the old stuff that made him famous. So it's almost like he's trying to remind us, hey, remember when I was huge? I don't know. So yeah, it's a fun listen. I don't hate the album, like I said. Is there a lot of over the top offensiveness for the sake of it? Maybe, but like at the same time, when you release an album with Slim Shady being the character, you would almost expect that. You wouldn't release an album with Slim Shady in the name and then have a whole bunch of songs about like Joe Biden or whatever. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of things that are relevant in America. Do you know what I mean? And like, there's a song near the end. It's I think it actually might be Temporary. Yeah. Haley's on this album as a little kid, like she was in the early days. So it's like, it's like an album that was being forced. It's like an album that was supposed to be released back then. I think where the Christopher Reeve stuff turned up, I can't remember where, but there's a reference to like, I think Slim Shady is like, yo, why did you, this song, whatever song it is, this song was supposed to be off the Encore album, why did you pull it off? Because Christopher Reeves died instead. He's like, whatever, he only died to mess up this song, so it's like, oh, okay, where's that come from? We haven't heard that for 20 years. But like I say, it's not, I enjoy it. That's all. I enjoy music. And so, yeah, I don't take the death of Slim Shady too seriously. Do I think it's his last album? Not really. It might just be his way of saying goodbye to that sinister killing vibe of his career. Do you know what I mean? Coming to grips with the fact that it's not 2002 anymore. And he might not be who he was back then. He's obviously changed. It's been 20 years. People grow. So, don't take it as his final album. I certainly don't. And yeah, like I said, I like it. I enjoy the Death of Slim Shady album. Would I buy it? Maybe. But like, yeah, I'd listen to it again, and it's fun. It's not his worst album. It's not up there with my favorites, but then the other ones have 20 years of nostalgia behind them. So who knows? Like I said, the wordplay is amazing. The rhymes are insane. His rapping itself is insane. The stuff that he comes out with is just wild. It's not the longest album either. A lot of his more recent albums were very, very long, like an hour and a half, an hour 20, an hour 15. This one's only an hour 4, and that's without any like bonus tracks or whatever. So that's kind of cool. It's not the most impossible album to get through, which I enjoyed as well. So yeah, all in all, I'd give it like 7.5 to 8 out of 10. You know, I did like it, and I'd listen to it again. So yeah, there you go. That's my take on Death of Slim Shady, Coup de Grace. Awesome as team, thank you so much for hanging out with me while I sit here and get not increasingly more passionate, but increasingly more detailed about Eminem's brand new release, The Death of Slim Shady, Coup de Grace. Please correct me if I'm saying that wrong. Like I said at the start, let me know down below what you think of the album. Is it up to par with the likes of Eminem Show and Recovery, or is it down there with the Revivals and all those other bottom tier? Some say Relapse. Not me, I enjoy Relapse. Let me know down below what you think of the album, and we'll have an awesome conversation about it. Thanks for hanging out with me, team. Keep an eye out for the next. If you're not a regular of my channel, hi. I completely understand. Like I say, this isn't normally my forte, R&B, hip hop. I'm a metalhead. If you're into metal, please go look at my other stuff. It's good fun. Click like, subscribe, all that jazz. And we will, if you stick around and enjoy what you see, then awesome. I will see you all in the next video. See you later.